wicked and weird things are going manifest.
All the paint parts are protected until they're ready to assemble. So right here we're getting ready to assemble the first three of this bat. The license plate bracket is put on, the tail light's put on, our forward controls. We already have all of our fittings on the gas tank. Anything that we can scratch the frame, we try to reduce any assembly on the frame or on the bike itself. Here is our top triple tree assembly, and again we try to reduce all the assembly on the frame to as minimum as possible to reduce any accidents. So every part that we can assemble off of the bike we try to do before we do final assembly. At this stage the motor gets put into the bike, but you can see all the work, our wiring harnesses, our rectifier, and all of the work that goes into the motor before it gets assembled on the bike. It's our Chinese general manager. The racks of wheels for our current order. All of our sub-assemblies are done off the bike as much as possible. Everything in the correct order where we need it. Neat piles of parts. Every part's inspected before it goes on. Here are all of our headlights. You can see chrome quality is excellent. Our false oil tank, again, all final assembly with all the electronics inside is done in-house. Painting is all done in-house, and again protected by felt. Here are our production frames, and this is the inspection area before they go to assembly. So every frame is inspected and then it goes to the assembly line. Paint quality is getting better and better every production run. We keep pushing for better paint quality, better welds. One last look at the assembly line before we start assembling the bikes. Started the assembly line. So before the frames go onto the assembly line, we install a few components. Bottom triple tree, part of the secondary air injection system, and then every key set gets matched with the VIN. The bottom triple tree clamp installed before they're put onto the assembly line, because we need to install the forks first. All of our forks are painted lined up, again on felt. Here is the start of the assembly process for the Heist, and we just adjusted all the torque spec for the motors. We're trying to prevent scratches as much as we possibly can. So it takes two people to install the motor. It's put onto felt, and then the motor mounts are installed. Our quality control engineer is going over everything with our workers. Every stage there is 1 to 3 processes that are completed. The next stage, the rear fender, the rear turn signals. The next stage, we bring the rear tire onto the bike. At this stage, rear brake, battery box, wheel, and forward controls are installed. We've just changed a couple parts of the process on assembly, and we're going through on the first 10 bikes to make sure that the change is implemented. So we have to retrain the workers for this specific change. Neil, who oversees basically all production in China, and our QC manager are going over the changes with the workers and making sure that they understand how the change is implemented. Every production run we have at least one QC manager and one general manager to oversee all the details. So there's no automation. Everything is installed hand assembly. The very last step on the assembly line is the installation of the gas tank. Our black paint quality is very, very good. It's a reflection of everything around us. Our matte black paint is also very, very good quality. We're almost done with assembly. We have to attach the seat, wiring, gas tank. Neil's inspecting all the bikes. One of the final stages for producing the bike is the tank being put on the bike. Here are the first two bikes off of this production run. So they get brought off the assembly line, and every bike gets gone over by two separate quality control inspectors to make sure that the quality is where it needs to be. Every bike has a checklist that comes with it that we have to go over before we can ship it.